Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is the part 7 of Salesforce Apex real-time trigger scenarios. So over here, this is the most frequently asked trigger interview questions for any Salesforce developer, whether you are on the fresher level or at any higher level. So in this, what we are going to do, like whenever a contact is created or updated or deleted or undeleted, then we will update the number of contacts in the custom field of account, that is number of contacts. So I have already created a number of contacts field on the uh, account side. So now what we will do, like we need to just write a trigger. The s object will be contact and the event will be after insert, after update, after date and after undelete. Okay, so without any delay, let's go to the developer console. Over here, like I have already mentioned the events on which the trigger is going to work. Now what we will do, we will just first of all create a set of IDs to store the account ID set. Now set ID. Now, so first of all save it. Now we need to check whether the trigger is running on which event, like on after insert, after update, after delete or undelete. So the must thing that we need to focus is on the after side. So now what we will do, trigger, we will just type trigger dot is after. So we can have a surety like it is working on the after side. Like we are having two after and before in triggers, but we need to run it on the after basis. So now first of all I will check like what the context of the trigger. If trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update or trigger dot is undelete, save it. Now we need to check whether trigger is insert, is update and is undelete. Why I have done that? Because in all the context in this line number 6 we will get the value of trigger dot new. Now what we will do, for contact con trigger dot new, we need to first check if the account ID is there is or not in the contact record. If con dot account ID not equals to null, then what we'll do, we will just store it into the set we have created on the top. Account ID set dot add, what we will add, we will add con dot account ID. Now this part is done, but what about a record that is having some previous account and now we are changing the account of it? So for that, what we need to do, we need to check one more time if trigger dot is update. Okay, so what we will do, we will check if trigger dot old map dot get con dot id dot account id not equals to con dot account id. What we are doing over here, we are making a comparison, then we need to just add it into this account id set. What the value of it, trigger dot old map dot get con dot id dot account id. Try to save it. Let's see like if any error comes in. No error. Now this is all about the three events, that is insert, update and undelete. But what about the delete? Because in the delete we will only get the value of the trigger dot old map, right? Okay, so I will just make it over here. Now the block is coming over here. So now what we will do, we will run one more time contact con trigger dot old. Again we need to check if con dot account id not equals to null. Now after, what we need to do, we need to add it into this set only. Account id set, account id set dot add con dot account id. Why we are doing that? Because we need to update the old record as well. Like if a contact is getting deleted, then the value should get correctly populated. So now if I go over here and let me just remove some of this. So now let me try to save it. Now the part of the trigger is done. We have stored the values of the account IDs into this set. We just need to pass on into the handler class. If I go to this handler class, I will create one method over here, public static void update number of contacts, and over here it will accept the set id account id set. Try to open. Let's try to save it. Now we are having one method. We just need to now call it from the Apex trigger. Before that, we need to check if account id set dot size is greater than 0, then only call this. Then what's the name of this class? Contact handler. Contact handler dot add update number of contacts, and what we need to pass over here, account id set. Try to save it. Now we are done with the trigger. Now we will need to perform the operation on the contact handler side. Over here I will create one list account list equals to new list account. Try to save it. Now we need to apply one for loop for account ACC. Now the best part about this, we need to have a query that should contains the number of contacts as well. So I will just type select id comma name comma number of contacts. Now we need to do a inner query, select id comma from contacts. The main thing is like you need to type contacts. Why? I will tell you the reason. If you go to the contacts and if I go to the added object of it, you can see the plural label, that is contacts. So we need to always use the plural label in the inner query. So if I go to the developer console, contacts from account where id in this set that we are getting from trigger. Now if I go to this and if I try to save it, before that I need to do this thing. Now what we need to do, I will create one more list account list to be updated equals to new list account. Try to save it. Now what we need to do, as we are having the field that is called ACC dot number of contacts equals to what we need to do, acc dot contacts dot size. Save it. Now just for sake of our debug testing, what I will do, I will just put one more debug over here. Number of contacts acc dot number of contacts. Try to save it. Now I will just add this contact to this list dot add acc. Try to save it. Once I try to save it, now we have added this. What I will do, I will just do one update option. If dot size is greater than 0, then what we need to do, update account this account list dot size to be updated. Okay, so since we are done with the logic is pretty similar. Like we just need to work on insert, update and undelete like others video that we have done. But the main part, the chemistry that lies over here for the events like the insert, update, undelete and the delete part. So over here I will just do the comment section for checking the events and storing the value coming from trigger.new. The account IDs. Okay, comparing the values from new record and old record. Now since we are done with this trigger, what I will do, I will just go in this accounts and contacts. First I will just create two accounts, that is test account A. Okay, there is already one trigger is going on, that is creating the opportunities contacts and create. So what I will do, I will just try to deactivate that trigger. It's not a good practice, like you are having a multiple triggers on a similar object. So if I go over here, if I go to triggers, so create contact and opportunity, it seems to be active. Let me try to deactivate it. So let me just save it. Since this test account A, the contact is created, if I go to the account, there should be one value will be populated, that is number of contacts. It's not populated over there, so let me try to refresh it. I will check that thing. Let me try to delete this. If I delete this, let's go to this number of contacts, try to refresh it. There is no value. If I create new contact from this account, test, and try to save it, let's see what comes over here. If I open number of contacts, there is one contact, no value get populated, so we are missing something over here. If I go to this and try to open the debug logs, this one, if I open it and if I do debug only, there is no values. So let me just Get rid of these. Oh, actually the trigger is not saved, so that's why it's not working. Now it's saved. So if I go to this contact and try to create one new one, test contact one, and if I save it, if I refresh it, test contact 2, let's see, there should be 2 value populated it, but it is not doing that. If I try to go over here, account ID set, and try to check the debug logs, and if I open it, if I open the debug logs, there is no value. So there seems to be an issue. Let's try to figure it out what it is. First of all, let me do one thing. Let me try to put one thing over here, whether our trigger is working or not. Let's see that thing first. System.debug test contact. Okay, let me just try to refresh it. Okay, this is account. If I go to the contact, in the contact, let's see like how many triggers are there. Okay, prevent duplicate is there, send email to contact is there, number of contacts is here. Okay, so this seems to be inactive, so let me try to activate it. That's why we are getting that error. It's good to debug at the same time, so you can also get the essence like what we are missing. So since the value should get 0 populated over here, now if I go to the details, the number of contacts are 0. Now if I try to create one more contact over here, and let's name it test, and try to save it, so you can see like the number of contact is 1. If I try to create one more, and if I do that, and let me try to test contact 2, and if I try to save it, you can see the value coming over here is 2, number of contact is 2. Now what I will do in this test contact 2, if I just open account in new tab as well, so you can see it like in test account B there is a value 3 over here, and if I go to this, and if I try to delete all these contacts, try to delete that, try to delete that. Now if I go to this contact account, there is number of contact is 0. Now what I will do, I will just make the changes in this test contact 2. I will, instead of test account A over here, I will just add test account B and try to save it. Now since the test account B is the parent of this contact, if I go to test account B, you can see that there is one contact over here, and in the number of contact value is 1. What about the test account A that we have created? If I go to this test account A, if you can see there is only one contact associated, and the value is number of contacts is 1. If I go to the related, you can see there is only one test account. Let me try to create one more contact to it, and over here if I create one more contact and try to save it, the value should be 2. Now let's check the delete functionality. So if I delete this, you can see that the number of contact is 1. Now let's work for the contacts that have been undeleted. If I go to the recycle bin, in the recycle bin, if I just restore it, if I go to this account one more time or contact test account A, you can see that the number of contact is 2 over here, and if I go to the details you can see that number of contact is 2. So we are all set with this video. Like here I have shown you the approaches that you can use for account contact insertion, contact deletion, contact update, and contact undelete. So do let me know the feedback.